Hey guys, hope you're all doing well, staying safe and healthy out there. Due to the current situation, I think this is a proper time to show you guys how to grow food in a very simple, fast way, because it only takes between like a couple of days, maybe 3 days or even 2 days to a week time. You'll be able to harvest this food and enjoy them cooked or raw, or even juice them or put them in smoothies. So this is a really good starting point, I think, for those of you who has never grown anything. This is something that's really easy for you to be able to do even inside your house. No matter what goes on outside, you'll be able to grow this food indoors, especially in the winter. And right now we finally have a nice clear day, but in SoCal we've been getting a lot of winter rain. So when you cannot garden outside for whatever reason, you can garden inside. And so I'm going to show you how to do this in the video. But just to talk a little bit about sprouting, I really enjoy it because it is really fast turnaround. It's also really fresh and nutrient dense, and especially when you're sprouting beans. And beans, are usually what you would say like in plant-based food. Beans has a lot of protein, so sprouting is a really great way to get your plant-based protein. It also, is more filling than leafy greens. And of course, I would say don't ever go without your leafy greens, because that's really important part for the vitamins and minerals and the the micronutrients for you. You might even notice that at the health food store, you might have even seen sprouted grains or sprouted flour, like sprouted buckwheat, for instance. So basically what they're doing is after they sprout them, they would dry it again and sell it to you. So instead, when you're doing it at home, you can sprout them and eat them right away. At that stage, they would actually make it easier for you to digest. So that's why you can eat these beans raw, and they actually soften up and almost taste like nuts to me. Eating sprouted beans, like sprouted raw beans. Sprouting is basically when you soak the beans or whatever seeds, that could be like even radish or alfalfa, green mung beans, red beans, black beans, soybeans, all sorts of different kinds of seeds that you can sprout. And when you soak them in water for a certain amount of time, for a day or so, they would plump up, and then they would basically start to germinate. And that very first tail is the root, the starting point, the start of a new life. So that's what sprouts are. And yeah, and I really love that I'm able to actually take this to travel with me. Say if you're not home often enough to tend to the garden outside, you can grow sprouts, or you can even take them on road trips, or I've even taken them overseas, where all I need to bring is just a jar and some seeds with me, and I'm good to go. Once I get some filtered water in my hands, I can soak it and grow some sprouts in just a couple of days, or under a week. I'll be able to have some fresh raw foods that's very nutritious for me. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to show you guys 2 simple ways to sprout your foods, and I hope you guys enjoy. These are some organic mung beans that I picked up at the bulk section of my local health food store. And I really prefer the bulk section because they seem to be fresher there, and they germinate a lot faster in my experience. Here's a mason jar. I really love sprouting all kinds of seeds using this, but you can use any Tupperwares or jars that you may have. And I'm just going to pour some seeds in there. Keep in mind that after these seeds expand when they soak in water, you just want to make sure there's enough room in the jar, so don't fill it up all the way. This is a BPA-free lid. I believe it's a stainless steel lid, and I really love using this cap. It just makes the entire sprouting process so much easier for me. And then I'm just going to fill this up and let this soak in some filtered water overnight, for about 18 to 24 hours. Here it is after a day of soaking. You can see that the beans have kind of cracked open a bit. So I'm just going to rinse this water out, rinse it a couple of times, make sure that there's no odor, everything stays really fresh in there. Now when you're sprouting these in a warmer room, I'd recommend rinsing it out at least 2 times throughout that day. When I sprout these in the summer, it reaches about a little bit above 80 degrees Fahrenheit in the room, so I would rinse it at least 2 or 3 times throughout the day. So here I am, I'm just giving them a rinse again, just making sure everything is really clean. And then you're just going to let them sit out on the counter for the next day or two so that they can germinate. And let me just clarify, you don't need to soak it in water any more than that first day. So during the time you're letting them germinate, be sure to rinse it at least once or twice a day. If it's a really warm day, rinse it 3 times. And after you see that the little tail starts to grow out, that is actually the root of the seed. When you see that, you know that this food is ready for you to enjoy. So enjoy it in a salad or stir fry or even a smoothie. They are packed with nutrients and protein. Okay, now that you've seen how easy it was to sprout these seeds, we're going to take it a next step up now. We're going to be doing some mung bean sprouts, just like a lot of them that you've seen in like pho places, the noodle soups, the Vietnamese noodle soups. And you can put them in like stir fries and like a lot of Chinese stir fries. You can put them in salads. Anyway, this entire process would just take you under a week and you'll be ready to harvest these beautiful, delicious, crispy, almost like a mung bean microgreens. So again, I'm soaking this up, and you don't have to use a mason jar. You can use any kind of Tupperware or jars that you may have lying around the house. You can just put some beans in there and keep them overnight to soak up in water. So basically repeat what I just showed you earlier in this video, how to sprout those mung beans. As you can see, I basically repeated the same steps I just showed you how to sprout the mung beans. And since this jar is so full right now, I'm just going to switch it out to a colander. And the next step is we're going to grow them out. So just take anything you might have laying around the kitchen, or just pick up something quite cheaply at probably even the 99-cent store might have. So this is something that's sort of broken but lying around the kitchen. So I'm just going to use this one. I'm just going to show you a few different things that you can use to sprout these mung beans. So I really like that there's these screen, holes on the bottom. So that's basically what you're looking for. And then another container outside to hold this thing. Just basically now dumping in, just making a thin layer, covering the bottom thinly. And then I'm just placing a towel, a thin towel so that it's breathable over the top, because you want to keep them in the dark. Here's something else you can use to sprout your mung beans. This is just a pan to catch the water. Ignore that brand. I'm not promoting that. Here's something I'll be using to lift the pot up to get some good air circulation going. Now, if you don't have anything like this, don't worry about it. This is just something I like to use because I happen to have it, and it seems to stabilize the pot very well. But you can use a bowl and just turn the bowl upside down or something to lift the pot up. Next, I'm going to be using this thin towel or cloth to wrap the mung beans in, and I'm doing this to test out to see if I would have to water as often using this. The idea behind it is that if I were to wrap the mung beans in there, I would keep the moisture in longer, so I would not have to water the mung beans as often. Next, you know how this goes. Just pour some mung beans in there and just put a thin layer on the bottom, just enough to cover the bottom. Give them a spray to create that humid environment. Then I'm just going to wrap them up. Now a third example of what you can possibly use to grow out your bean sprouts. And here I have a colander that is actually got quite big holes, so I'm definitely going to be using this thin cloth to keep the moisture in, as I've just made a thin layer of mung beans, as you can see. And then I'm just going to wrap this up. Since this colander has bigger holes, I decided to wet the entire cloth so that the moisture can stay in there longer. Just let the excess water flow out, drip dry a bit, and then I can put it back in the pot. While you're waiting for the beans to sprout, keep them in a more cool, dark place or anywhere, just even on a kitchen countertop or a table somewhere away from the window. I recommend checking on them about a couple times a day at least, just to see if it's still moist in there or if it needs to be rinsed off. If the room is a bit more warm, then you want to rinse it off at least twice a day or something, just to keep everything fresh and clean in there while they're sprouting. So you can see these ones here, the tail has gotten longer, so I'm just going to give them a rinse, and I love doing this in the garden. Remember guys, it's really crucial that you rinse them out at least twice a day just to make sure that they remain odorless and clean. Each day you'll notice that they're growing a little taller, and I think about 5 days or so, 5 to 6 days, these for me are ready to harvest. Here we are on the 6th day, and these are ready to be harvested. Now keep in mind that they might take 1 or 2 days more or less for you to harvest yours depending on the temperature of the room. Mine were sprouting in a more cooler room in the winter time, so it took a little longer. But you can see that there's beautiful root system here, and these are definitely at a good height and they're ready to be harvested. Also, you want to keep them in the dark during the time they are sprouting, because that would prevent them from getting bitter and tough. So once you harvest these, you can bag them up and refrigerate them, or you can put them in the Tupperware. But basically, to keep them fresh, you want to refrigerate all your sprouts, any kind of sprouts that you do. They should last you for a good couple of days. So be sure to only sprout as much as you can eat for those couple of days. So enjoy them in a juice, enjoy them in a smoothie, enjoy them in your salads or stir fries or soups. The possibilities are endless. So enjoy these nutritious greens, you guys. I hope you guys have fun with them. Find this video to be helpful. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite sprouts are, or what you find to be really easy to sprout, just to help out some of the beginners out there. And if you want to tell me something you want to share with me and others, leave it down below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you have not, and follow me on Facebook and Instagram, where I do more instant updates of my life that you don't get to see on this channel. And if you would like to support me, which I really would appreciate it, I do have some plants and seeds available on my website at wendyland.com. I'll leave the links of everything that I just mentioned just below this video. Thank you guys. Remember to stay well, eat healthy, and keep your spirit up, because that helps with your immunity. And yeah, I'll see you guys right back here in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.